Hi there, Cloakfiend back again. Today we're going to be, I'm going to be showing you how to do your own little Hellraiser. So I've provided you the file, you can get it in the link below, and you should get something like this. And then we'll eventually try and get it into this stage. You can obviously paint it up yourself. I've just given it a primer coat here and that's it. This one was done in black colour fab. So for this tutorial you will need some veneer pins. I believe they are 1.2mm in size. I could be wrong, but it doesn't actually have any measurements on here. And you'll also need a set of little Dremel or very thin drill pieces. Alright, just to show you some of the tools I use to trim stuff. I mean, these are the classic kind of, I don't know what they're called, some kind of pliers. But just go in and start literally chomping out bits of plastic that you don't want. And obviously if you've got weird supports that are quite long, you have to be quite careful that they don't split your entire model when you like snap them out. That's why you want supports to be quite thin. Alright, so I'm done with my sanding and filing and whatever, so all I really did was get rid of the bits under the ears, and I just went over really quickly over the back, nothing too heavy as you can see, and went kind of slightly over the top just to get rid of any kind of top layer lines. I mean, if you've been following any of my other videos and you wonder why I bother with acetone and 0.06 layer height, it's because I want my final model to look like almost like a cast or something like this. There's no layer lines at all. Or what you're seeing here are splits really on this one, so it's a bad example, but let's say, you know, I printed this one out earlier, and if you look at it close up, then you won't really see any layer lines at all, so it will look like an expensive print when you can just do it on any FDM printer with 0.06 layer height. And then the acetone just kind of fills in the subtleties between the layer lines. Obviously if you've not got a well calibrated printer, it's not going to make any difference to you because it's going to look rubbish either way. But if you calibrate your printer to do even layer lines and use colour fab PLA like I do, then you should get the same results as I do. So all the people kind of complaining that this technique doesn't work, it's fairly easy. I've been doing it for the last 4 years. It does work very well. So yeah, it's just to create a nice surface. I mean, you can even see the wrinkles on his forehead there from the sculpt. So an essential part of it is getting the 0.06 layer height. If you can't print in 0.06 layer height, then don't bother acetoning your PLA prints, in my opinion, because it's not gonna cut it. You're not gonna gain quality from something that essentially destroys your model. So you want the best quality to begin with, because you were only making it worse at the end of the day. But our worse is essentially making it look visually better. But anyway, I'm going to get my acetone, I'm going to dip it now, and this is transparent red colour fab PLA PHA filament. As usual, I've got my bucket, my model that you've just seen inside the bucket. And then I've got my acetone and my really dirty brush here. And the more you use your brushes for acetone, you'll notice these little white fibers, which is essentially like dried bits of acetone, like little bits of red you can still see on there. And that's just basically because as you're brushing on the acetone, you're essentially stripping off a very thin layer as well. So you just need to watch out that you don't stroke it too much, because then you're ruining your model too much, in my opinion. But each to their own, find your best technique. But 0.06 layer height, colour fab PLA PHA plus acetone does the trick for me. So what I tend to do is I'll just pour a little bit to the box, hold my model, and then saturate my brush and just brush it on just like this. And I don't really do it for long. Just make sure you cover every spot. You do not want one spot that hasn't been treated, because it will just stand out. And that's it. And that's all I've done, and I'm going to leave that for now. Now if I touch this too much, it's going to leave fingerprints, so I'm just going to leave it there. Alright, we're back again, and this is the result of the acetone. So you can see it's done its thing. So there you go, that's what it looks like close up. Now most other people who print in 3 FDM printing, they don't do close-ups like this. I still don't know why, but, and even with that poly show or poly smoother, you don't get surfaces this smooth because you're printing in 0.1 and expecting kind of magic to smooth it for you. So this method is just to get perfection out of your printer basically. Again, 0.06, and there are literally no layer lines here, but you shall see that once you paint it. But anyway, here's the model, and it's all kind of dry and ready for drilling in my opinion. Now directly after acetoning, you can generally feel, like with your nail, that it doesn't sound right, and you will need to give it some time. I mean, if you sand it, then you'll also notice that you don't get any dust off the sanding because it's somehow doing this weird rubbing thing. But anyway, what we're gonna do now is just kind of look over the model. I'm just gonna get my usual brush, and I'm just gonna like buff it just to get rid of any kind of residue that's inside any of the cracks and stuff like that. Alright, so I'd highly recommend getting some very tiny screwdrivers, or not screwdrivers but drill heads. So this is a Dremel pack. Now I've bought this pack of veneer pins. Really all you need to do is take a veneer pin and then just put it up against all of these ones, see which fits. And then I found that these two seem almost identical. You want the drill head to be slightly smaller because you want it a snug fit. So this is the 1.2mm drill, and I'm going to be hammering in the pins after those. You're essentially trying to get stuff like that, so the nails will follow the path of your drill. Try and get as perpendicular as you can in each hole, which basically means at right angles. So don't like drill in from like weird angles. Try and drill in from exactly how you want the nail to sit in afterwards, and that's about it. So first of all, I'm just going to drill the holes now. Now I'd just like to add, I've got some weird melted plastic all over my drill head, which is not good because it's made one of my holes really massive, and that's kind of ruined the model basically. So it's completely ruined now. I can't do what I wanted to do. So this whole print is a waste because of my stupid idea. This just got too hot. What a load of shit. Normally it's actually easier doing this, to be honest with you, it's actually easier doing this if you just put this in an actual drill, which is how I did this one, because you've got a button which turns it on and off, as opposed to this one just constantly spinning. So you're constantly spinning it while putting it into position, which it kind of isn't the best idea. So if I was you, I'd actually just put this into an actual drill. Alright, so I'm back again. I printed out another one, so I'm not gonna bother, and I've already acetoned them as well. And this time I'm going to use a drill because I can do it nice and slowly. Any drill piece with an end like this, preferably you want it to be extremely tight so that you can actually get your 1mm, 1.2mm drill head in there. And there we have it. A big drill with an ultra tiny little drill head. Alright, here goes. I'm going to just go ahead and start drilling now. Alright, I think that's all the holes done now. I'll just double check. Alright, now if you want, I guess you can go over it again with some fine sandpaper just in the cracks, just to clean up any of the drilling kind of nonsense you've done. Alright, so for this part you're going to need a hammer and the veneer pins I told you about. So I've drilled 1.2mm holes, knowing that it's going to be so snug that I won't need to put much effort hammering them in. You might want to choose the ones with the like slightly flatter heads and just start hammering them in basically. So put them there, and I'm going to do like a medium, so I'm going to do something like that. So they are a little bit further than my other one, which was here. This actually I went a bit deeper in. Now I can't remember the best ways, what way round, you know, kind of what order to do this in, so I think it doesn't really make any difference because they're going quite easy. You're just literally popping them into the hole. Alright, so there you have it. Finished Hellraiser. Alright, hope you've enjoyed the video. See you later.